speaker, consultant, and author, Dr. Francis L. Battisti. He offers individuals and organizations a pathway to explore their potential and move towards desired transformation. His national reputation in this field of motivation, health enhancement, long-term care, and conflict disposition is manifest in his work with numerous corporations, major healthcare organizations, and congressional, as well as governmental committees, with his workshop having been offered throughout the United States, Europe, Canada, and the Caribbean. I give you Dr. Francis.
Good morning. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's very good to be with you this morning. We have about 45 minutes. So what I'd like to do is, as the topic is, I'd like to talk about leadership skills and really how you can use those leadership skills when you're out in the real world, when you're working in companies, and how you can develop a dynamic workforce. I'd like to start off with a quote. Let's see if we can move this forward. We're having a little technical problems. Let's see. Okay, there it is. Okay. Albert Einstein had this quote, which I think really kind of explains what I've tried to put together in this program. He said that the world we have made as a result of the level of thinking we have done thus far creates problems we cannot solve at the same level of thinking at which we created them. We could spend a long time reflecting on this quote, because really what he is saying is, with all of the dynamics, the forces in the world, how small the world is getting, how what happens here in my area, my part of the world, impacts your part of the world, what happens in Celaya will impact other places. All of us need to be thinking about things very differently than we have in the past. It's not really about us, but really it is about the world and how we interact. So today what I'd like to do is look over some research from a book, a very useful book for all of you, to evaluate that research that was done by the Gallup organization. And I would imagine a lot of you have heard of Gallup surveys. Their main function, which they do, is really build dynamic workforces. And then how can we use this research to really influence and leverage the discussion that we have as individuals within our particular organizations? Usually, we look at weaknesses. If you think about traditional psychology, it's based on where are the weaknesses, where are the illnesses, what are people not doing? Well, one of the things I would like to introduce is that we look at it from a more positive psychology perspective. And in other words, what are we doing right? Using that energy of what we're doing right, or skills of what we're doing right, and then build upon those. So it's really about strength identification, enhancement, and the bottom line is about relationship building. Unfortunately today, with all the social media, which is very good, gets things done very quickly, we can communicate. One of the things that it may miss, and more studies are finding this, that even though there is a relationship that gets built with people using social media, it may impact negatively the quality of the relationship. Let me ask you, I can see the whole group, but I can't see you individually. How many of you have ever received or sent an email or use of some other social media and you were misunderstood, or you misunderstood what people said? Raise your hand if that's ever happened. It looks like it's unanimous. It looks like everyone. So what we need to do sometime is sit down and talk to that individual. There was a great Any of you see the movie The Intern? It was about an older gentleman working in a younger organization. Did anyone see that? There's a scene there where one of the younger people is talking about his relationship with a young woman is broken down. And he told her that they were having problems. He sent her an email. And the older gentleman said, well, have you talked to her? He goes, no, I sent her an email. I sent her, I did some things on Skype. I did some things on Twitter. But he said, did you sit down and talk to her? Because literally they were in the same office. He said, I think that's what you need to do. So part of this is relationship building. Not that you can't have relationships on social media. You do. People have good relationships. They have rich relationships. But sometimes because you're not physically present, can't look in that person's eyes, you can't see how they're reacting, there may be a breakdown. These are some of the challenges that all of us have as managers, that some of you probably already working in the field, those of you hoping to work in the field. Getting qualified staff, helping change mood, because it's constant. People always want to slow things down. Effective communication. I know here at the university, we're always talking about how can we better communicate with individuals? How can we make our communications more effective? Again, effective and efficient staff training, tracking outcomes, and then controlling benefit and disability costs. We will be moving with most of the top ones. The last one, the bottom one, the controlling benefit and disability costs, we will not be addressing this morning. So here are some of the challenges. Again, doing more with less. We have to be more efficient. Focusing on what works rather than spending all our time on what doesn't work. Helping to build resiliency in empowering our clients, our customers. These are all internal customers and clients. Taking care of ourselves. Some people burn themselves out. They're short ball hitters, and they will leave an organization quickly. And again, keeping quality relationships at the center. Quality relationships at work are very important. Some of you know our Vice President for Student and Economic Development, Debbie Morell, who's here. Also,
no, I've not been to Celaya.
Debbie has not been to Celaya. Alberto, we got to get her there. You would love her in Celaya. Debbie right now, I believe, is working on a book about relationships.
Actually, when I read that part where you said keeping quality relationships at the center, inside I was thinking how grateful I am that I have you as a friend, and Dr. Miller as well.
Well, that's important. That's very important in relationships. I'm sure in the classroom, there are students that help out each other, study together, hang out together. And again, that's keeping quality relationships at the center of things. So, here's the resiliency. Being resilient under stress. There's a lot of stress in our lives. How many of you in the room will zoom in again, see if we can see? How many of you have any stress in your life? I see some of you putting both hands up. Is that true? A lot of stress. Maybe even some feet. Maybe some, a lot going on. Well, you got to be flexible. If you're rigid, you will break. I was just in the Adirondacks. It's part of New York State. A lot of forest, beautiful forest. And I was with someone, and we were climbing a mountain. And he said in the wintertime, the trees are so heavy with snow that they bend right over. But he said some of the trees that don't bend break. The ones that bend don't break, they come back. And that's how we need to be flexible and keep our perspective, not lose our perspective. I know that can be very, very hard. And probably in this whole list, what's most important is thinking about, is this the most important thing today? Some of us like to win. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the audience that like to win. Sometimes we spend too much time on little wins, and we use all our energy towards them, and we lose the big picture. Again, the bottom line is about relationships and attitude. So again, all the things that we're up against, there's conflicts, demands, expectations, pressures, rules, everything's changing. There's all kinds of things.